Hello, Libra. Welcome to Catalyst Energies and welcome to your weekly astrology forecast. I just thought I recorded your whole report and I was super stoked on it. And then I switched back over to look at my actual recording software and it said it wasn't recording. So take two, I guess. So welcome everyone to Catalyst Energies. My name is Dee. Thank you for joining me. I'm so grateful that you are here, Libra. This is for Libra rising, Libra moon, Libra sun, and even if your progressed ascendant is in Libra, I feel like that this would be relevant as well. So the general astrology report for this second lunar quarter is already up. It's either on YouTube and you can link it to it at the end of this video, or on BitChute. You just scroll down and you see second lunar quarter, full moon in Cancer, or Cancer full moon, which is on the 17th. So we're looking at the week from the 9th to the 17th for all the signs. And so you can check out that report in order to get the specific overview of the transits themselves. And this is really just to do a check-in here to see the areas of life that these transits are most likely going to have an impact. So Libra, you and Aries, and really just all the cardinal signs, which is Libra, Aries, Cancer, Capricorn, are going to probably feel this full moon the most, right? Because they are along the axis, not only for Libra especially, and Aries, along the axis of your very identity. The full moon and this whole lunar cycle itself is really situated in your axis of power, right? Where you draw your personal power from and where it's released. And considering that we are looking at a massive catharsis moment with the Sun and Pluto in a conjunction at this Cancer full moon, and remember the moon is at home in Cancer, this is going to be quite the event, and a culminating event, and very sensitive and incredibly very sensitive, potentially very emotional, and a lot of deep feels for everybody. So for the Libra person, it is along this axis of power. Now, we know with the new moon that there was a cycle that we had the opportunity to initiate in terms of the importance of the death and rebirth cycle in terms of any type of materium, right? Capricorn is the brick and mortar of reality for us, either institutionally, the actual economy itself, governments, right? A corporation, an extended family. Capricorn is power. Capricorn is leadership. Capricorn is fearlessness, right? Capricorn knows what it needs to do to get things done because Capricorn is, in fact, natural law. It is the matrix in its unfolding, cardinal Earth. So it is brick and mortar, and it's more than just the natural inherent value in the world around us. It's something that we have to build together out of the meaning that we derive from our relationships with each other. So for Libra, there's been a lot going on here. You have your, Venus is either your chart ruler or your planetary ruler, so she's running point for everything for you. In your fourth house, the sun is in your fourth house, Pluto's in your fourth house. You've been going through this metamorphosis process for a long time now with Pluto in the area of your personal life, your home life, your marriage, your home and family of origin, the traditions, like the family traditions, your family heritage, your national sovereignty, and your inner psychic life, the place where you as an individual are emotionally stabilized. That is the fourth house. And that's been going through metamorphosis. And now that Venus is here, there has been a very deep inventory about the meaning and the balance and the worth of the structures and the institutions in which you find your stabilization, Libra. So the catharsis and the new moon in general is in this area, something in the realm of home, family, marriage, your inner life, your psychic life, and the core of who you are, where you are stabilized and your root system in life is going to have a very strong cathartic release. And there's been a lot of consideration of what is valuable about this and what isn't, especially with Venus in her retrograde, just meeting the sun a day before this first quarter moon. So this area of power and your career, especially Libra, and not only just your career, but the brick and mortar community that you have contributed to building. You are going to have a very strong, incredible feeling of whether or not you can weather in your professional, like how you feel about yourself and your community, and your professional and public persona, as there is this cathartic, powerful, transformative moment in your personal life, in your inner life, in the areas you draw your own power from. And sometimes when you have a moon in the 10th house, like we will at the full moon for the Libra person, there's a sensitivity to not just your own feelings, but a sensitivity to the nature of your community and the brick and mortar institutions themselves. And so what Libra is going to really come to find is where that emotional security really lies and how strong it is in the face of personal and home and inner transformation happening, and perhaps a root system that is in some way going to be changed or transformed, or maybe even uprooted. It really depends on the rest of you as an individual, and how the rest of this chart really unfolds. But Libra and Aries, I feel like, are really going to feel this full moon in their axis of power, obviously, because that's the houses that it's going to be in. So the other aspect here, my gosh, let me make sure I'm still recording. Okay, is you have Saturn and Mercury in your 5th house. You have Neptune that's been in your 6th house for a long time. This is such a complete dissolving of the self in order to reconstitute the self. The fact that the transcendental, the humanitarian, the spiritual journey itself, unconditional love, forgiveness, compassion, those types of traits and experiences that go along with that comes right into your service and your daily routines, your daily habits. It also does, Neptune also does act in a way that dissolves you and your healing process, everything down to the same substance in order for you to reconstitute yourself as an individual completely anew. So there's certainly a negative aspect and a challenging aspect if you are having a hard time getting yourself into a routine and sticking to it. Now that Jupiter is here, you at least are getting some resources and somebody to help you manage this whole process. But for a long time, I feel like that if you've been kind of bringing this mystical set of values into your everyday routine, but they're based off of delusion or illusion or propaganda or something that is disempowering, or you feel like a martyr, that type of thing with Neptune and Pisces in particular. It could be very difficult to reconstitute yourself in your own subjective, unique self. And I think with Chiron in your 7th house, Libra, this has been the area that your triggers and the emotional wounding of the inner child and the guilt and shame for being oneself and being true to oneself comes out in the interpersonal relationships right now with Libra. So there is the thing is for Libra in general is this incredible potential as an agent of justice and fairness, that you can literally transfigure yourself in the face of any situation in order to make it balanced in some way. So to have Chiron in your 7th house, I mean, I think it's been very difficult while this is happening for the Libra person to act in accordance to their own subjective, unique essence of self in their relationships, because these triggers keep coming up that pull us back into identity issues, right? That aren't ours. It's something that we feel ashamed of or guilty of, or maybe we're trying to bypass healing this aspect by consistently helping others that are having the same issues, and in the one-on-one relationship. This is where Chiron is really making itself known. And with the moon here now, well, it was at the first quarter moon squaring the sun in Capricorn. This was the spark for Libra to be like, oh, the spark of compassion and the spark of life is in the relationships, and me being myself in the relationships, not necessarily the Chiron wounds that are more about assuaging our shame and guilt, or acting as the wounded healer, or feeling like a victim or whatever. This is the remembering of our own spark of life and divinity that happened with the moon in the 7th house. Just being very sensitive to the Libra person, being very sensitive to themselves in their relationships, and being sensitive to, am I fulfilling the role of something that is imposed upon me out of guilt and shame, or a sense of saving or being a victim? Or am I being authentic and true to myself? And that is truly where I am able to be the most effective in relationship, or the most myself in relationship. And I think that while there was a square at this first quarter moon, which is always a crisis in action, what do we do, right? There's the square to the Capricorn sun, but at the very same time, there's a trine to Mars in your 3rd house. And now I'm like checking every 2 seconds if I'm still recording. Okay, Mars is in your 3rd house. There's a trine, there's a fire trine. So there is, quite simply, feelings of agitation that came with this, feelings of anger. Maybe just anger, maybe just feelings of like, I want to feel like myself and nobody else. And and a sensitivity to the spark of compassion and desire that is within each of us. That is our birthright. That is the fingerprints of God, right? Is in the spark of divinity within us. And so a great outlet for that for all of us has been this Mars in Sagittarius. And for the Libra person, you have Mars in your 3rd house. This is a lot of pioneering energy in terms of the intellect and the mind, and communication back and forth in any way, right? And in the realm of the mind and communication. So there's a lot of ambition. There's a lot of desire to discover with Mars in the 3rd house. There's a pioneering element, and there is output. And so the output can possibly go into a procurement of everything. It's like taking a moment to use that output energy to bring back in everything that the Libra person has come to understand about the function of their mind, about the meaning of practice, the meaning of relational communication, the understanding of the back and forth, right? Because Sagittarius is not exactly what you want for your 3rd house, but it does provide a sense of meaning right into your immediate environment and the way you conceptualize reality. Because the thing is, the South Node is coming out of Sag now. So this is like a last hurrah for everybody with Mars in Sagittarius, but it's proving to be an incredible emotional outlet at a moment where how we feel and what we say or what we express are in conflict with each other at this first quarter moon, because there's still power being generated and being authenticated and felt in the inner life and in the core of who we are. So even though there's tension there, you can take that tension and there is a base or a foundation in terms of action and transformation between the moon and then Mars in the 3rd house. So and Mars, keep this in mind, because as we shift forward, Mars is going to have different relationships with everything. So Mercury, like I said, 5th house, Saturn in the 5th house. Saturn is really just kind of being an anchor in your own authenticity and in your own creative expression that keeps you from taking unnecessary risks, that keeps you safe and secure in a realm where sometimes you can take unnecessary risks. It keeps you, in this instance, Libra is, or Saturn is there's a strong Saturnian element to Libra itself, because it is the law that a Libra scales of justice are even relevant within, right? It's the balance and the action of the balance that eventually creates the body of the law. And so that in itself, whatever that is for you, be it very paternal, maybe a sense of leadership, a sense of authority, maybe it's just a sense of time and responsibility in this fifth house. It's keeping you from, staying true to your own voice, right? And being very secure and firm in your own voice, rather than, the thing is that what you see here is there's a trine to Black Moon Lilith. Okay, this is adding to the catharsis of this whole week, because not only is it in a trine to Saturn, Lilith will then be in a square to Neptune at the full moon. So there's something very tumultuous, something very primal, something that demands to be heard. And for the Libra person, it is going to be expressed in the realm of belief systems and the collective paradigm and the meaning that builds the brick and mortar community of the 10th house, right? Your professional life, your public sphere, it is built based on the meaning of the 9th house, broader concepts, broader perspectives, multiculturalism, right? This is also alchemical transmutation. This is also understanding. This is also religion and dogma and real wisdom in the 9th house. Okay, this is where we come to understand after we've gathered the information and analyzed it and then shared it with others. This is like, this is what this means. So for the Libra person, something very primal, something very powerful, the original blueprint of the sacred feminine will be heard in the realm of belief systems and the larger culture that you're part of. And Saturn is going to anchor it so it can just, it'll be a seamless expression, and it will anchor into your own voice, right? Your voice is your own, and Saturn is making sure of that. And the trine is just mental and conceptual security and balance, when this very primal aspect of the sacred feminine is demanding to be heard. And in this situation, it's more of a demand and maybe an uprising of this really deep primal need to be the best at our own skill set within this higher, I would say within this realm of higher learning, right? Because that's what the 9th house is for Libra over here, or the 9th house is for everybody is higher learning, but for the Libra, it's in Gemini, right? The higher learning is using the realm of idea as just the realm of idea, right? But your voice has stability and keeps you from maybe doing something or saying something or expressing yourself or taking a risk in a place where it could be very easy to get swept away in the power of Lilith. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, this incredible amount of power to tap into belief systems, right? And the realm of higher learning. But Saturn will keep you in your individual voice like very anchored, which I think is a good thing. And also to Mercury here. I mean, there's a lot of literary and mental precision in terms of your what is your passion, right? And your joy and optimism and who you are, like who you authentically are. And you're just very clear and very steady, Libra. And that trine to Lilith is going to allow those parts of yourself to come out in the larger context of meaning, right? And understanding without sacrificing this, right? You don't have to, because it's very stable and you are very aware and able to communicate who you are and how, express yourself in a way that is very clear and very precise in some ways. Now, and this sextile to Chiron at the same time that Mercury has already and will have again in its retrograde just in this week. So twice in 1 week, you're going to see Mercury have this sextile with Chiron. It's this precision about who you are and what makes you tick and being aware of it that is really going to allow for, I think, an incredible healing moment with these Chiron themes, okay? Because if you are clear about who you are, you can conceptualize it, you can think it, and you have Saturn here too, that's already had the sextile to Chiron. So now it's much more in your thought processes, in your written, word, your written expression. Maybe it's just you being innovative too. Like your Aquarius is about innovation and thinking outside of the box. And to have Mercury here, I mean, you just have full access to the whole collective's consciousness, and it's going to allow you to let go of the old identities that you've had in your relationships, so that you can innovate and think outside of the box about how those relationships can look. And part of that is knowing who you are. And Saturn and Mercury is making that much more apparent for the Libra person, and which is good, because you're going to need it when your power source is going through a catharsis here, and you have to maintain emotional stability and security and protection even for the community that you have built and the community that you're part of and the professional and public persona that you have. You want to be able to maintain and return to a core that is timeless and infinite, right? It's like the Fibonacci in reverse, right? It's the spiraling back into the infinite singular void within, right? That's the Libra is infinitely able to protect, but it's going to come, the awareness of it and the feeling about it is going to come through this major cathartic release here in your personal life, your home life, and certainly in the areas where you are most comfortable drawing your power from. So when we, like I said, we move forward here this day, and Mars is immediately going to square Neptune, and also that same Neptune then will have a sextile to the Sun. So as I'm recording this, which is the 10th of January, you're going to find that, Mars may want to fake it till it makes it in the realm of the skill set that it's practicing or discovering or acting on. And that is important to keep up the intensity up of the catalytic converter, so to speak, but it's Neptune in your house of crisis and your daily life and your works and your routines and your works, your routines, your habits, right? Your disciplines. You can act in reference to your own self-interest about this all day long, but when it comes to the minutia, the grind, or the healing process that is a daily aspect that is very unglamorous, right? That's the thing about the sixth house. It is unglamorous. It brings out all of the hidden enemies and is often the area where we learn who we truly are and get our shit together, right? You can have all of this output in the realm of practice or technique or communication or data or info, right? Concepts, whatever. It's really no match for the agent of the mystical and the spiritual in terms of your everyday activity. This is going to take way more discipline in order to not lose yourself to the fantasy or to addiction or to propaganda. At least you have Jupiter here now to help at least manage this, but it's also not going to give a reality check necessarily. But you also don't want to lose all your momentum over here. You don't let it douse you. Just realize that just realize that it's almost like reinforcing how important it is to keep going in this realm, even though it seems like you're not getting anywhere. You certainly are. The sextile, we can put that energy into the power in your personal and inner life and where you draw your power from. This sextile is very Lyran. So if you have Lyran starseed markings and you know that, then you can draw upon those traits to really assist in the activation of this sextile, which is really finding your voice and your power, right? The power that you experience in your inner life, your home life, your marriage, your home and family, your core, right? Your root system energetically and spiritually. It's in the trust of what it is that you are doing every day that may not seem like it has any shape whatsoever. It's that trust in that process that is going to activate and harmonize with the power that you find in just being part of something that is working towards its own betterment, right? So you're part of a dynamic interchange of a group of people, but it's like a relay race. So everybody is doing their part equally, but it's the whole team that is going to succeed. So again, Libra, it's inseparable. So much of this is inseparable from who you are in relationship, and where you gather your power, your personal power from. So much of the bottom of your chart is about the collective, and the top of your chart is about the individual. So it's very interesting. I mean, you are in fact the paradox in some ways as a Libra rising. So you don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater, right? I mean, something is transforming, something is catalyzing, something is alchemizing in terms of this area, but it's still the same fourth house, and so you still do express yourself through the power that you do harness by working together with people, right? And even though, again, it seems like that nothing's happening in your day-to-day, in your works, in your habits, maybe there's no real shape, that's okay, because what it's doing is reinforcing the power that you generate when you work together with people. Again, Libra, it's all about so much about you and other right now. So when we get to the actual full moon, you will be able to reflect back on that aspect in terms of really playing your part as the, protector, right? And for your own self too. Will your public and professional life, will your community as this vessel really hold your emotional sensitivity, your self-esteem? Will you feel emotionally secure in the brick and mortar or social and political institutions that you've been contributing to creating? And the cathartic moment of release here in the fourth house of where you draw your power from in your personal life is going to show you where what you have to release, what is culminating that you want to continue to allow to grow as well. And then you see that Lilith is also in a square to Neptune. This is very tumultuous. This is very, very tumultuous, Libra. This Lilith is going to be heard, and it's probably, along the lines of demonstration, protest in the belief system, in the collective value system that has built the community that you are contributing to, and you align, the ninth house is how you understand it all. So something will be expressed in this realm that is going to really challenge this compassionate, transcendental, very boundaryless and fluid aspect of your everyday discipline. I feel like Libra's out of, and Aries too, but the two of you guys are going to have the biggest, I don't want to say shock, but I think it is. I honestly think it's going to be a shock to the system because it's so fundamental around identity and axis of power that the cardinal signs are just going to really catch the brunt of this full moon. But in the idea here that, you also hold the capacity for real protection, provision, security, self-esteem, and not only for yourself, but for the people that you are involved with. And so I know it's going to be intense, Libra, but I think that you have plenty to kind of take you through the week now. And with the other astrology report, you can put those two together and see what comes up for you. So if you are interested in a reading or energy work to support your process, or to just get more information about how to support this catalyst energies and the video platforms and the content there, or to just get to my website, all the links in the description box will lead you to where you need to go. And certainly you can hang out till the end of this video and get some more information as well. So Libra, thank you so much for being here. I truly appreciate each and every one of you. And we will check back in this way for the Aquarian new moon that's going to be in early February. And until then, have a great week. Have a beautiful and culminating full moon, and know that your role is really, really important right now because of just the nature of who you are. And I'm really looking forward to beholding your transformation right now, because if you can withstand this type of cathartic release and change in the very root structure of who you are, I think that you have, we can be assured that you will be fair and balanced in who you are and in your in your commitments and your binding contracts, Libra. And that's what it's all about for you. You are about the balance of the situation. So take care, Libra, and I'll see you next time. Okay, bye.